Welcome back, sinners and Disney adults. Have I got a pairing for you? After watching quite a few reviews and commentaries on Wish, granted I'm a bit late in the game, but better late than never, I'm honestly kind of obsessed. I'm not sure how Disney face-planted this hard on something that is remarkably easy to do, but I am so excited that they did. Creating douchey villains is easy. Creating douchey villains with charisma is harder, but not impossible, as evidenced by the litany of them that we have from Disney's catalog. I'm not sure why Disney just decided to not do either in this case. And look, maybe I'm just obsessing over Alex Brightman too hard, but I am a big enough person to admit that, okay? Acceptance is the first step. But regardless, it's been really hard for me not to draw a comparison between what failed with Magnifico and succeeded with Adam. Disney's repertoire of villain songs is unmatched. Their catalog includes some of my all-time favorite songs ever, no contest. But for the sake of being fair, I chose to examine This Is the Thanks I Get against Hell Is Forever because they are both newer songs, and when you get down to it, the motivation for both songs is the same. I didn't feel like examining This Is the Thanks I Get against the titans that came before it. I wanted to examine it against something that was from a completely different playing field. I'd like to add a disclaimer here that I have not seen either Wish or Hazbin Hotel in its entirety. I wanted to make this video first before I watched either, if I end up watching either. I do know of the broader context for both of those stories, and I will be pulling from those since I think context for these is very important to how the song works in the long run, but what I'm primarily focusing on is the effectiveness of the song itself, particularly as a villain song. First off, I'm no music major, and I don't even know if I'm not completely tone deaf, but I love musicals. And for all the gripes I have about Hazbin and Hell of a Boss, I can say that their music is airtight. Loser Baby, You Will Be Okay, House of Asmodeus, and plenty of others are absolute bangers. Credit where it is due. Second off, despite not seeing this show yet, I know that I cannot stand Adam as a character. He grosses me out, and I hate that he is here.
Relax, babe.
Know that I am unbiased. In Hell Is Forever, for those who don't know, the main character and Princess of Hell, Charlie, is pleading to a council of angels for them to approve of her plan to rehabilitate sinners and get them out of hell and into heaven, so that heaven can stop having this yearly purge where they slaughter her people or her future subjects in hell because it's overcrowded. Adam, yes, that Adam, is the main resistance against this, having absolutely no care for what she's trying to accomplish or the supposed value in redeeming a sinner. They've made their bed and they should lay in it. And This Is the Thanks I Get, Magnifico is losing his mind over a sense of insubordination from his kingdom. There's a traitor sowing dissent in the ranks and he's upset, which is fine. This comes after he sends everyone off to find her after being pressured into giving the victor a reward. And this is supposed to be a setup to him ultimately giving himself over to dark magic as a means to control his subjects. Let's take a look at what these songs are trying to say. In This Is the Thanks I Get, we are given multiple scenarios of Magnifico's benevolence that isn't returned, including this famous line. I let you live it for free and I don't even charge you rent. Which is literally the same exact thing. They could have just said, I let you live in luxury and I don't even charge. And other lines that suggest he isn't being praised to his level of liking, despite the fact that the entire kingdom has done nothing but praise him up to this point.
You're cute and strong and bold and brave. Thanks, see this kingdom, I built it up and you still complain, ungrateful much.
Relax, babe.
The issue here is that it doesn't feel like he's not recognizing that the kingdom hasn't given him praise. It just feels like this song is out of place. This song is meant to set up Magnifico's blatant callousness and his disregard for anything other than power and praise. But it comes across like a guy just complaining, and it makes his shift into psycho at the end feel very out of nowhere. He goes from complaining that he isn't getting a pat on the back to, I'm going to unload dark magic. Let's take a look at Adam's first lines.
Stop you right there, save us all precious time. If what you're suggesting is letting them climb. Sorry, sweetie, but there's no defying their fate.
Yes, this is a wildly different scenario, but doesn't this much better set up the kind of character we're dealing with? Even from his first line, he's cutting Charlie off, mentioning that her entire spiel is a waste of time. It's not important to him, and that's all that matters. His language is callous. He's using terms like sweetie and, chillax, babe, to invalidate Charlie's importance, despite her literally being of higher rank than he is. And he's simply dismissive of the idea that there's anything else she can do for these people that he deems less than. Not to mention, his tone and performance is blasé and dismissive, which helps sell the attitude that he's meant to have during this whole whole thing. In the beginning of This Is the Thanks I Get, the song serves to set up Magnifico's apparent self-absorbed qualities, which is fine. I will insert here that this is not very well set up in the movie prior, but if we're just focusing on the context of this song, fine. He's self-absorbed. This is how we're told that.
I can't help it if mirrors love my face. It's genetics. Yeah, I got these genes from outer space. Peep the name, I'm magnificent. Someone praise me for my benevolence.
Listen, I'm not going to say that this sounds like someone was given a bunch of vocab buzzwords and had to write an improv comedy sketch with them in 10 seconds, but I am going to say that this entire set of lines sets up the idea that he believes he has supernatural good looks and he is magnificent. Let's take a look at how Adam sets that up about himself.
And for those of us with divine ordainment.
Apart from it being far more catchy of a line, it is extremely efficient in setting up how Adam views himself. He is divinely ordained to make these decisions, even though that's not actually true. Again, pulling from some broader context of the show, Adam doesn't have singular power to decide the fate of these people he's condemning, and he feels he is owed much more power and influence than he has simply because he was the first man. But you don't need to know how that fits into the broader context to know that he's that way. This one line, completely out of context, tells you that. Someone humble or not abusing their power wouldn't refer to themselves this way. It's the same way when Frollo says he's a righteous man and should be justly proud of himself. Using the juxtaposition of how they should view themselves with how they do is a great way to show the delusion of a villain to your audience. And with Magnifico, I mean, he is a good-looking guy. People do love him. People clearly want and need things from him. So where does this delusion play into the broader context of what he's trying to say? Him thinking that he's super handsome and has incredible abilities doesn't lead into him being unappreciated. It could, but it doesn't. And you can tell because the song pivots into that abruptly.
Just look. I give the clothes off Benito's back.
The song doesn't even know how to transition into this. It just cuts into a new part. And who the hell is Benito? Let's look at the chorus of both of these songs. Both of these songs are guilty of being complete earworms, but one of them I don't mind having stuck in my head as much.
And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. 'Cause hell is forever whether you like it or not. And their chance to behave better now they boil in the pot. 'Cause the rules are black and white, there's no use in trying to fight it. They're burning for their lives until we kill them again.
The chorus of This Is the Thanks I Get is pretty empty, repeating over and over that he's not happy with how he's being praised currently, which is fine. And you don't need a complex chorus, but this is repeated 3 times in the song, and it takes up a lot of real estate that could have been used to establish more on the issue. Why does he feel unappreciated? What is this delusion of ungratefulness? Where is it coming from? Is it valid? Is it invalid? We really don't know. The chorus of Hell is Forever is longer and has more to say, but its purpose feels more necessary. It's giving us insight into how Adam views this entire endeavor and why he has the feelings he has about it. He thinks that it's a lost cause, not because it is, but because he doesn't care to do anything else about it. Really, his only motivation is slaughtering beings out of their afterlife. Even trying to pull the broader context of This Is the Thanks I Get out, it still leaves the song feeling a bit empty. He's just singing about what he wants people to say, not what people have said or haven't done. He says that people complain and they're ungrateful much. But how? Why? What about this sense of entitlement pushes him over the edge? Where's the connective tissue? Speaking of that, later, when he's completely lost his mind, and the only time they really let Chris Pine use the untapped vocal talent that he has.
I didn't want to do this. I swore I'd never do this. But I'm hypnotized by how these pages flip because I refuse to have my power stripped.
What does this actually have to do with being unappreciated? I get the song needed to end up here because it's the villain song, but where is the connecting thread? This is him in response to there being a traitor in the kingdom. I'm not saying the song can't have multiple purposes, but I am saying that this song has 3 different parts that don't connect together. Part 1, I am too pretty for this. Part 2, I don't get any praise for what I do. Part 3, I am a psychotic crazy person ready to sell my soul to dark magic. That doesn't really illustrate anything. It's not a progression. These 3 segments don't link together in a downward spiral. Adam starts at 100, so there's no spiraling for him, but the stakes of the song do escalate in a way that makes sense.
If you're wasting your breath, did I hear you imply that they don't deserve death?
So again, his complete inability to reconcile with the idea that Charlie may have a point, these sinners he believes to be beneath him, and literally their only use is to be hunted for sport.
Hell's forever and it's meant to suck a lot. So give up your dumb endeavor 'cause you don't have a shot.
Invalidating Charlie's ideas and the work she's put in, insulting her, being a douche.
Yes, I should probably mention that we've made the determination to move up the next extermination.
And there's the kicker. That's what the song is building to. This means Charlie now has half the time to prepare and get this off the ground than she thought. And specifically, Adam is targeting her in this. He's doing this to prove a point to her, to prove he has power and the ability to control the situation the way he deems it, which is villainous and effective. Something I can't say for Magnifico.
There's a traitor in this town and still I remain unbent. Come out now, explain yourself. I'm sure it's all just an accident.
You mean to tell me the one time this guy could just go psycho nuts off the rails and we get this series of lines? Adam isn't even mad at Charlie specifically, and he is way meaner to her than Magnifico is to this traitor, which is Asha, by the way, but that doesn't really matter. To be fair, I do like Alex Brightman as a performer more than Chris Pine. But that's not saying that Chris Pine isn't good at this. He's a great actor, a really good voice actor, and a really good singer. And you can hear glimmers of that in this performance. But they cut the song off before they really let him go feral and unhinged.
This is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get.
If we're meant to believe that this buttoned-up, self-absorbed narcissist is losing his mind a little, shouldn't we hear that in more than just a couple lines that escalate before being cut off? Adam maintains a sense of entitled narcissist asshole energy the entire time, but it does escalate. We're not finding out how awful he is. It's established from his first lines. So the build-up is different in this song, but the way that it's performed continuously drives this point home and is dripping with personality. Nothing feels restrained in this performance, is all I'm trying to say. And I truly don't believe that's because Alex could pull this off better than Chris Pine in his scenario. I think it's because he was given more to work with. The song has a lot more meat to it that you can really play up as a villain, and I think Alex Brightman succeeds at that. It's very catchy and you just kind of love to hate the guy. With Magnifico, if anything, I feel kind of sorry for him. I mean, these subjects sound like they suck. So let's take a look at these in context and out of context. Out of context, Hell is Forever is a callous, douchey, narcissistic character dismissing any ideals he deems different from his own and abusing his power to threaten and silence oppression. In context, Hell is Forever is about a callous, douchey, narcissistic character dismissing any ideals he deems different than his own and abusing his power to threaten and silence oppression. Out of context, This Is the Thanks I Get is about a guy saying how handsome he is, complaining that he's underappreciated, and ultimately selling his soul to dark magic to either stop a traitor or make everyone pay for their disrespect. In context, This Is the Thanks I Get is about a guy that has received unfettered praise for the entire movie, singing about how handsome he is, and then very confusingly saying that he never receives any recognition, only then to decide to fall to the dark side. Out of context, Hell is Forever is more entertaining by virtue of its presentation and it genuinely being a more cleverly written song, which is not really what you can say about any of Wish's musical numbers. In context, despite grievances I have with Hazbin's writing in general, I won't go into those here, but the list is long, this is a villain song that sets up motivation and does it effectively. Out of context or in context, This Is the Thanks I Get is confusing for multiple reasons. It isn't cohesive, the writing is far from clever, and it's discontinuous with what is established before it. It doesn't tell us anything about Magnifico as a villain, and what it does tell us about him as a person doesn't play into what he's like as a villain at all. Something like Be Prepared or Hellfire establishes what the villain is about from the get-go, not just their motivations, but who they are at their core, the same way Hell is Forever does. The aim of both of these songs was to provide a ramp up by a narcissistic, irredeemable villain drunk on power and being an unfettered douche. And in my opinion, only one of them succeeded. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you disagree with this video, I will be fighting you in a Walmart parking lot. Check my socials if you'd like to follow me there, and let me know what you think in the comments, and any suggestions on what I should do next. As always, I appreciate you, you're special, and have a great day.